The Toronto International Film Festival is currently on, and I've watched some of the movies that played there this year. Interesting enough, each one hails from a different country, so I really got a taste of the impressive filmmaking happening all over the world, including in Canada. First is a movie from Iran, although the director is one who is not particularly well liked by the regime there, so it's also a Luxembourg-French co-production. Directed by Jafar Panahi, it was just an accident goes into the trial felt by those tortured by the regime. It is highly critical of the Iranian government, which is not surprising if you know Panahi's views, and presents a compelling story about the people who think they've kidnapped their former torturer. While the movie mostly uses actors with little to no film experience, and it was shot largely in secret, you would not know from the way they naturally have their conversations and how Panahi films the locations. We get a sense of the pain these people feel about their imprisonment and their anger at the system. Even as they try to continue to live their lives, whether it's getting married or working in a garage, that pain still lingers. Although the movie also cleverly shows their arguments and how far they're willing to take this kidnapping. Something I've noticed about the Iranian films I've seen is their interest in showing the characters just living ordinary lives while dealing with the societal and governmental rules they live under. The story takes some interesting turns, especially when the family of the person they've kidnapped becomes involved. It's fascinating watching the characters' day unfold and all of its complications. From Norway, I saw Joachim Sentimental, which looks into a family and how they deal with their troubles. I thought it was a well-done movie that mainly worked because of the investment in these characters. The actors all do great work in depicting these family members, and in particular the way the father, Gustav, excellently played by Stellan Skarsgård, tries to involve them in his newest film project. Sentimental Value is able to bounce between the individual storylines and the emotions they go through as he readies this movie. This is mainly an ensemble piece, as they're each given the necessary screen time for us to understand these characters. Although outside the family, I was also intrigued by the art undertaken by Rachel Kemp, an American actress played by Elle Fanning. I really like seeing Rachel attempt to prove herself as an actress while observing the family drama going on here. I particularly appreciated the story not going in a direction I was afraid it would, and it even uses flashbacks to good effect to get an idea of the family history. I thought the film tackled the heartbreak and even some of the funny moments that come from people who once lived under the same roof. Heading over to Brazil, Kleber Mendonca Filho's The Secret Agent presents an exciting thriller centered on a man trying to get away from the government. Wagner Moura gives an excellent performance in the lead role, depicting his carefulness as he assumes a new identity, but also his longing to live a normal life, not having to run away. Filho makes the 70s setting come alive as a depiction of the city of Recife, and in particular the way he uses a cinema. Coming from Recife himself, you can tell Filho put a lot of his own history with the city and the cinema he frequented into the story. Jaws especially serves an important motif throughout the film, with several references to sharks that play into the story's themes. It's also fun spotting the posters in the background to get an idea of what films Brazilian moviegoers were going to see in the late 70s. That investment in Marcelo trying to be with his family and the way Filho jumps between those pursuing him, and even him being researched in the present, makes the over 2.5 hours run by. Next we have a Canadian film from Matt Johnson, who previously directed Blackberry. Nirvanna, the band that showed the movie, is based on the cult series created by Johnson and Jay McCarroll. I've not watched the show, and yet I very quickly understood what these two characters are about and what their motivations are. While I'm sure there are Easter eggs sprinkled in for longtime fans, it is incredibly accessible to newcomers as Johnson and McCarroll craft a hilarious time travel story. They managed to get a lot of humor out of the lead characters, Matt and Jay, accidentally traveling back to Toronto in 2008 as they comment on the change in attitude since then and have a lot of fun with the city. However, the comedy is not just reliant on time travel jokes. There are a lot of brilliant fourth wall jokes and even scenes where they ad-lib with unsuspecting real-life people reacting to their antics. One of the cleverest devices is when it splices in footage from old episodes of the show into the new narrative, seamlessly making it look like Johnson and McCarroll are acting opposite their younger selves. This is a very funny movie with enough layered and universal jokes to appeal to even those who have never set foot in Toronto. For something a lot more serious and intense, there is the Spanish-French co-production Sirat, directed by Oliver Laxe. Watching the film, the obvious influence is The Wages of Fear, as we watch a group of characters trek through the Moroccan desert in their vehicles. Admittedly, it took me a little while to get into the film, mainly because a good chunk of time is spent at a rave, and this was a reminder that I really don't like rave music. I personally find it to be repetitive, loud, and annoying, so multiple scenes of that are not going to appeal to my taste. I also found parts of the movie to meander a bit as we watch this father and son look for their daughter and sister. However, Sirat eventually takes a shocking turn which really ups the stakes, and you see the danger these characters are in. There's an anti-war message here, showing that whether it's presently happening or has passed through a region, its effects are still felt. Laxe builds some tense scenes as the characters figure out their next course of action, and there is a feeling of dread that sets in. This is definitely not the feel-good movie of the year, but it manages to leave the needed impact. That brings me to my last TIFF watch, which is the South Korean film No Other Choice. This is a dark comedy directed by Park Chan-wook, and is about a man who loses his job and takes certain measures to get a new one. There's a worthwhile commentary about the unfairness of the job market and how employers turn into a desperate battle to land the next paying work. While there are likely elements here specific to Korean culture, I think the message here is universal. There are several funny moments throughout the movie that play into the lengths Yoo Man-soo takes to deal with his competition, find that right balance in its dark scenes. At times, No Other Choice almost has the feel of a Coen Brothers movie as he makes these drastic decisions and how they spiral in unexpected ways. I did find the movie was a bit too long, as I felt the point was made when it reached the third act. Although I felt where the story eventually went, which I won't spoil, provided an interesting comment on modern society. As you can see, I end up liking all these movies and found unique things to appreciate in each one.